Actually, I just found out yesterday I got banned from the Doctor of Student Physical Therapy page for.
Really?
Yeah, I was shocked.
For promoting the group?
Yeah,
Man,
I'm just trying to help people out.
they're pretty tough. They've like, I got banned originally for not. I never even posted in there once. I think it was an accident. But all right, it looks like we're live.
Awesome.
All right, everyone. If you're hopping on live, just comment Team Live if you're watching this live. If you're catching this on the replay, comment Team Replay. I'm so excited. We have Jordan Black with us right now. Just a really cool backstory. Jordan, first off, thanks for hopping on live with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, man. I'm really pumped to do this.
I'm so pumped to have you.
I'm talking actually to somebody, so this is all new to me.
I'm so pumped to have you guys. Jordan and I, we're both members of SSPT, which I think most people in our group know SSPT. Cameron says Team Live. Jordan's the man. Jordan is the man. Morgan's watching too. Morgan, we were just talking about South Carolina and Tennessee. It's going to be a big weekend. Jordan's heading out after this to go to Tennessee or to South Carolina to watch the Tennessee-South Carolina game.
I actually bought my new flag today to hang there for the entire year.
Woo! All right, Morgan, he's putting some pressure on you. He's saying Tennessee's going to win. I'm really excited though. Jordan and I are both SSPT members. We both have Greg Todd in common as a coach, and we got to meet down in Florida. 3 weekends ago now. Yeah, something like 3 weekends ago, and we got to live in Greg's house for a weekend. Got to know each other. I didn't know really anything about Jordan's story. I obviously knew Jordan. I didn't know anything about his story. And part of what we were doing over the weekend is like just sharing our story. And Jordan, you laid out a little bit of your story. First off, you were like, wow, I'm 26. And I was like, what? You're 26? Like, that's crazy. You're a new grad still. And we're going to dive into your story here and your background. But I was just absolutely shocked by so much of what you've been able to do. I mean, really the crazy ride you've been on the last 2-3 years, like taking over a business and learning all this stuff. So Jordan, for anyone who is watching this, do you mind filling us when you graduated school? Mm-hmm. And kind of, obviously people, if you're watching, Jordan's a physical therapist, but Jordan, when you graduated school, and kind of what your first position was right out of school.
I graduated from University of St. Augustine in August of 2016, and I actually took a job as a clinic director straight out of school, and opened a new clinic in my hometown, where there's 8 or 9 outpatient PT clinics in a 6 or 7 mile radius. Mm-hmm. So very, very competitive. It's a town of 60,000 people, and every orthopedic or every half of the outpatient clinics are connected with an orthopedic practice. Whether that's right or wrong, it is what it is. So the competition was very fierce, but it was something that I knew from day one that I wanted. I didn't want to just be a staff PT. I wanted to kind of build my legacy. And so from day one, it really started. And I was a very, very average student at best in undergrad and high school and PT school. But I had a passion, and I knew from day one what I wanted to do. And so I started following my dream the day I walked across stage.
Man. Okay. So fill us in. You're in a town of 60,000. There are, was it 8 or 9 ortho practices?
8 or 9 outpatient clinics within a 6 to 7 mile radius.
Okay.
And clinics, and I walk in and pick out my spot actually 2 months before I graduated, or right around the time that I graduated. And it was a new strip mall at a grocery store, or right beside of a grocery store. And I was so excited because it was the start of my career and my future. And so it was a lot of unknown, but I was okay with that.
Yeah. I think it's just, it's really fascinating because I think so many of us leave school at such different places. And some of us I had an idea that I wanted to own I thought it would be a physical therapy business at the time, but thought I wanted to own a business. I had an idea. A lot of people that wasn't on their radar. If you're watching this right now, we're having a ton of people on here right now. Stephen Dunn's on here. Katie, thank you for hopping on. Dave Kittle, thanks for hopping on. Ann, thanks for hopping on. If you're watching this live, hit the love button, hit the like button so we can get this out in front of more people. Jordan Black is a physical therapist. He's telling his story, and I was just going to say, Jordan, if you're watching this right now, if you knew that you wanted to own your own business, just type in #bizowner, #bizowner, if you knew that you wanted to own your own business coming out of school. Jordan, walk me through. You graduated. What was your first job like? What was the first job that you took?
My first job, it was starting a clinic from scratch, not having one patient. I remember I had a patient walk in. It was my very first ever referral, and something happened. I remember it was a post-op, I think total knee. And, I was super excited. We had just opened, but something was going on with the permit. So unfortunately I had to tell her, hey, I can't see you today because we can't get a permit. So that's kind of how it all started. But man, it was such a grind just starting from scratch, really. But it was a feeling that I couldn't get enough of, was going out and busting my butt to try to market myself and the practice that I worked for, and seeing the patients come each day was very rewarding, to the point where I was able to hire a staff member about 2.5 or 3 months. And that was such a good feeling, because like I didn't have to answer the phone anymore or as much. I didn't have to clean the toilet or wipe the mirrors, or turn the lights out whenever I left each time. So that was a small win. But you try to celebrate every little thing, because it's really what keeps you going.
Now, first off, I mean, I think it's important that no matter where you're at in your journey, everyone's got to start doing the dirty work. You got to start out doing everything. And as a business owner, you start out doing all the tasks, right? Like you've got to do that. I don't even know if I've ever asked Jordan, did you start taking insurance day one? Had you figured out how to get insurance on insurance plans by day one?
So luckily I was under an establishment to where they had 7 or 8 clinics at the time, and they had their own people that put me on their insurance. So I had nothing to do with any of that. It was my job to get patients in, treat the patients, and get them out and keep them happy.
So you were under an umbrella of a bigger organization?
A corporate, yes.
Okay. But you essentially working for this bigger group, they said, Jordan, you can have this location. You got to do all of the marketing for it.
They basically said, we want to open in Morristown. We want you to lead that. What do you need? Here it is. Now take it and run with it. And it was an absolute great experience, and I'm so thankful for it, because I really think that without that, there's no way that I would be anywhere near how much I've grown today. Yeah.
And Jordan, how old were you at this time when you started?
24 years old.
And how old are you now?
26.
26. I mean, I'm getting old, man. 26.
I actually, the lady that cut my hair today, she told me she saw some gray on the side. So
it's because you're working so much. All right. So tell us the first time you start working in this at this clinic. So for anyone who's not watching, one of the big things that I came away from the weekend with Jordan, and Alex and I were down there at the same time, and Jordan's wife Morgan was there too. Shout out to Josh Payne and Brienne Brown. If they're watching, they were there too. Was that Jordan's story with insurance and billing, and how it was really interesting to hear, Jordan, how billing played a massive impact in your first couple of years, and to this day, but played a massive role in your transformation as a physical therapist, as an owner of a business. Can you just tell us a little bit of your journey of what it was like treating early on, and when you noticed that this issue with insurance and billing was bigger than you imagined.
Right. So I took over an already established clinic about a mile down the road from where I actually opened. Okay,
let's start there. Let's start with that journey. How did you transition then so you started working at this one place and then ended up taking over another place? How did that happen?
It was actually a funny story. There, a local prosthetist, great guy. He came into market to let us know about the different products they have and how they could best help our patients as along with us. Super guy, and I'm forever in debt to him. Came by I think it was on a Tuesday, and I think I had just saw one of the 3 patients that I had that afternoon. So I had an hour break in between. So I started talking to him, and he was like, "Hey man, you don't know any PTs that want to become owner of a clinic, do you?" And I think he did it on purpose because he knew that was my ultimate goal. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that within the first 2 minutes that we were ever met. And so I was like, I don't know. I've got some friends. I'll see if I can call them. And I'm pretty sure I left early that day because I just couldn't. I think I had both patients cancel or something. And but I called him right away. And that's whenever I knew that, hey, I was, regardless of what I thought I was there to do, that I was prepared to take this on, whether I knew what was ahead or not. I was doing it. And luckily, my wife, she was 100% behind me. And without that, I wouldn't have done it. But I had no doubt that she would back me in whatever way that she could.
Yeah, and should say Jordan's wife Morgan is a physical therapist too. She's amazing human being. But Jordan, take us through like that decision though. Was this something like you had to buy it out? Did you have to have enough capital up front? Was there a way that how was the transition going to play out? Just thinking through my mind, like, man, 24 years old, out of school, like how long had you been working for the other place?
5.5, 6 months.
Okay. So not long, right? You're still getting your feet wet.
Yeah, absolutely.
All of a sudden it's like, hey, do you want to take over a business?
Right. And
how did that transition play out?
Funny story. I had actually just lost my credit card at like a month before. And I got a new credit card, but I forgot to turn auto draft on. And so I missed a payment by 48 hours or 72 hours. So my credit tanked. And I didn't even know what credit was at the time, looking back.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew that I was going to find a way. And I knew I had the support that I needed. And as far as transitioning from, holy cow, I've got all $200,000 in student loan debt between me and my wife, to now I'm 24 years old, 6 months out of school, and I have 100% ownership of a clinic, an established clinic at that, in my hometown on the east end of town where I went to high school. It was really overwhelming in a little bit, but it was very gratifying. And I was so up to the challenge that I knew I was going to figure out a way to make it happen. And I had no idea what I was in for. And looking back, like, holy cow, as of today, I hired my 3rd PTA, and I just found that out an hour and a half ago. So it's every single day is something new, whether that be good or bad. Just take the punches and just live in the moment, and that's really what I'm trying to tell myself.
Man, if you're watching this right now and you're out of school, out of PT school, you've been graduated for a while, just be real. Do you think comment yes or comment no if you feel like at 24 years old you could have taken over someone's business without any business training? I'm assuming, Jordan, you hadn't gone through business school.
No, I dropped accounting in undergrad.
I mean, if you're watching this, comment yes or no whether or not you feel like you could have taken over a business at 24 with no business background, because I think that's just That's incredible, Jordan, that you're even willing to take that on. So describe the place that you were taking over. What did it look like in terms of patient volume? Like how many staff members were already there? If there were any, describe what it looked like.
The place that I took over was and it looked like you were walking back in time. I mean, yellow walls, and it was just so ironic. But I saw so much potential. I mean, the initial spot was actually an old car lot dealership. So we've got the big doors that you can bring cars in, and we've got the individual bays where the salesmen would have their computers and try to finalize deals. And so now that's our individual treatment rooms. And there's where there used to be a closet, we took that wall out about 35, 40 days in and added an extra 300 square foot. And really, I mean, whenever I walked in, we were seeing maybe, I mean, they were only open Monday, Wednesday, and half a day Friday. And I just felt like I would cheat myself and the patients if we didn't move to 5 days a week. And so we did that right away. And I was perfectly fine with that. And we made a lot of changes, but and my partner, chiropractor, actually, I'm in with a chiropractor. It's been, in PT school, we were taught that we collide with chiropractors, but it's such a unique model, and it's something that I think is the future of healthcare, especially with the rising cost and benefits and healthcare in general. If you can provide a service with another healthcare provider under the same roof, and swallow your ego and swallow your pride and do it for the right reasons, and it can really just boom. And right now that's what we've got going, knock on wood.
Yeah. So, okay. So you took over, they were only open really 2.5 days a week.
Yes.
And 5 days a week. Did you,
I believe there were 2 staff members that were there. I think, no, there were three staff members that were there the 2.5 days a week, an office manager, and then one person that helped the therapy, and then one person that helped the chiropractic.
Okay. So when you, it's so interesting to just think of where you're at now, which we're going to get to, but when you started out, how on a scale of 0 to 10, how confident were you with understanding insurance policies and billing?
0. I mean, I didn't. First off, I didn't know that. I knew that we were supposed to look at the patient's insurance card, but I didn't understand the reason behind why we need a copy of the patient's insurance card and their driver's license. I didn't know what an authorization was. I had no idea what a clearinghouse was. I didn't even know I barely knew what a copay was. And the only reason I knew that was because I went to the doctor 2 times a year for a physical. And I had a $25 copay. So I had 0 experience with anything insurance, and everything I had been told, going through school was that cash is the new thing. And so I kind of bought into that because it was the cool thing to do. I mean, I think it's a great, I think it can be great, depending on where you're at. And I've learned so much from, especially Aaron LeBauer. I've followed his stuff just as long as I followed Greg Todd's and everybody's, but and I really respect his model because he really hustles. And it's so impressive watching him. And I actually have the honor to interview him in a couple of weeks. And I have no idea what we're going to talk about, but I've been planning for it for the last 2 or 3 weeks. So shout out to Aaron LeBauer and the Cash PT Nation, because I respect everything you guys do. But no, I had no past experience with insurance.
Okay. It's so funny. Aaron was probably the first person, even before Greg, for me too. I think I saw his webinars that were going on about cash PT and opening up a clinic out of school.
Yeah.
So Aaron, great job marketing.
Absolutely.
Great job marketing over the last several years. You've gotten all of us into the web and the circle, which has been awesome. So Jordan, tell me about, I'm assuming that given your 0 out of 10 level of insurance and billing at that point, that you didn't run into any problems at all. Is that right?
No, that's the opposite. I didn't know anything about the billing. I just knew that I had to write this lady a check every month, and it varied every single month depending on how many patients I saw. And it was always, well, we're 2 months behind on the patients that you're currently seeing, because insurance is slow. And so I was like, whatever, I'm trying to go out and get as many people as possible.
Yes.
And I'll write you a check at the end of the month, and we'll go about our separate ways. And you tell me whenever I need to do a note or somebody needs whatever an authorization is. And
you were paying someone to help with billing. Was this person in-house or?
No, it was outsourced, but it was a local company. But I think she had been there the entire time that the practice had been there.
Okay. Had you, so she was helping you, and then at what point, so knowing a little bit of Jordan's journey, you're diving in. I'm assuming you're just trying to treat as many patients as you can. You're in there. When did you realize things couldn't keep going the way they were going?
At the end of each month, I think I was 4 months in, 3.5, 4 months in. So at the end of each month, I would get a report. And it was a stack of 12 to 13 pages that had a bunch of gibberish on it. And then that's when I had to write the check. And I had no idea what I was looking at. And every single month I found, I caught myself, like the first month there, I didn't know what it was. I don't even think I looked at it. But the second month it kind of intrigued me because I was looking at it and didn't understand anything. So I texted her, I think once or twice, saying, "Hey, what is this? What is that?" But I caught myself each month after that texting her more and more and wanting to understand what this is or what batch payment means, and really the first problem that I ran into was that I understood that I didn't understand anything about billing. And it was such a huge part. I mean, it's the entire lifeline of your clinic. And I was completely clueless on it. And so that really, that was tough to swallow because I felt like I had no control of any of the biggest part of my practice, because it didn't matter how much time I put into marketing, or trying to do the right thing and get my message out to my hometown. If the billing wasn't right, then I wasn't getting paid, and I wasn't going to get to hire the multiple employees that I had dreamt of.
Yeah. If if you're watching this right now, if you're with us, whether team live, team replay, comment billing if you've ever felt intimidated by billing, and understanding the billing process, because I'll be honest, it's something that, having worked for other people and never owning my own clinic, but doing home health and doing billing, having to bill, obviously, file, submit claims for my patients, I still feel like I knew less than 10% of what was going on. I really had no idea. So I'd be the first to comment billing that it was very intimidating, something I just didn't even want to deal with. That, luckily I had a staff and a team that would help. But when did you, so Jordan, I'm assuming, like, did things get easier, better, or was there a point where, knowing you, I know there was a breaking point. Yeah. So tell us what that was. Were you losing so much money from this? Or was it
No, I had doubled the caseload in 6 months from when I first started.
You should be like, making lots more money.
Yeah, making double of what the numbers that I saw the very first day that I took it over. And it didn't add up. It wasn't there. And so that was the first red flag. And then the second one was that I felt like these numbers that I was getting each month, and the person that was putting these numbers on the page couldn't explain them to me. And it's like the more that I asked, the less confident I was about her. And I was supposed to take over this practice and provide for all of my employees. And I didn't know the first piece of what billing was, which was what paid my employees and paid me. And so that's really when it hit home. And I had signed a contract, and I didn't even know that I signed a contract with this company, the local company. And so I was like, hey, I'm done. Like, whatever I have to, and I hadn't even found a billing company. And looking back, I was like, I had no idea what I was doing, telling her that I was done. But I was going with a different company, regardless of who it was. And I was going to figure it out. But come to find out, I was in a contract, apparently, that they had snuck under some paperwork that I signed. And so I had to give them a 60-day grace period. And in that 60 days, I feel like is probably the most beneficial, because it was, I quickly found another third-party outsourced company that I wanted to use, and was very confident that I had made the right decision. But I also dove into like finding out what I thought was billing, which, come to find out, I didn't know, still didn't know anything about billing. But it's so crazy looking back, like thinking how confident you are in a decision. And now looking back on it, you would make the complete opposite decision based on what you've been through.
Yeah, man. So first off, Alyssa, Kelly says billing, Katie says billing. She's working on it now. Alyssa says she was lucky to learn a lot about billing in a clinical rotation and at a job, but it was a different story once she was in charge of it all. And I think it's a big thing too, that, you know, people's livelihoods and paychecks depend on billing being able to go through. Go ahead, Jordan.
I think being in a mentorship spot to where I was getting groomed. I mean, the first month and a half, 2 months, I was actually at a different location while my site was being built. The walls were getting put up, and I think I thought that I was being taught billing, but really all I was being taught was, hey, you've got to bill the most possible codes you can bill, regardless of what insurance. You got to see as many patients as possible, and you got to work 12 hours a day, and then your billing will all pan out. And really, that's not it. I mean, there's so much more. It's such an art. And no matter, you can drill it all you want, but it's really an art. And it's something that I found it was going to be a disservice to my entire staff and my patients if I didn't dive in and understand this more than I did at the time.
Yeah. And Jordan, do you mind sharing how bad did it get in terms of your uncertainty or maybe fear that like this could really, really affect your business?
Yeah.
That you couldn't keep going? Or
when I switched over to the second biller, it was from I want to say 1st of November of last year up through February 2nd, I think, something 2nd or 3rd. And so basically three whole months, 3 to 3.5 whole months. And we collected, I want to say $8,000 in 3 months. And we had billed this, I mean, we doubled the practice in 6 months. So it made absolutely no sense. Why are we not getting, and this was supposed to be the #1 outsourced billing company in all of healthcare, and couldn't get any answers. And really what had happened, so something, miscommunication somewhere down the line, but basically every single one of my patients from November through February 1st or 2nd was they were billed under an incorrect tax ID. And that's all. Your tax ID is linked to your contracts with insurance companies. And so I had over, I think, 400 patients during that time, and during 400 patient visits total that received letters from insurance companies saying, hey, we're charging you double because you're out of network with this Jordan Black guy. When in reality, I was in network. It was a minute error on the front end that had extrapolated to this. And so I had all these people calling into my clinic saying, hey, what the heck's going on? You know, why is this double? And I don't know the answer. I'm just a physical therapist trying to run a practice and do the right thing and talk to my biller. But I couldn't get an answer because she was in California at the time and I was in Tennessee.
I can't imagine 400 visits.
It was an absolute nightmare. So, I mean, I was to the point where I'm not the top. I'm the last person to ever give up because I would see myself as a failure. But man, it was really to the point where I was really contemplating, like, I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah.
And I had doubled the patients, which was really confusing to me. And it didn't make sense, but looking back on it, I'm really glad that I went through that because it forced me to change billing companies for a third time, and which I still outsourced it and even hired an in-house biller who I was ready to basically, I wanted to learn more about it, but I didn't feel like I understood it. So I wanted to hire somebody that could teach me it. And that didn't work out. But it was truly outsourced then. And then finally, when that didn't work out with the third party company or the biller, in-house biller that I hired, it's when I feel like the rubber met the road and I was like, I've got to figure this out. And so luckily it was so funny because my wife, she actually worked at a competitor and she was with a lady that is manager of a practice here in town, of a orthopedic practice here in town, and known her for years. She's a good family friend. She was like, hey, how's Jordan doing? And Morgan was like, his billing is a nightmare. Like, he's not sleeping. You know, we're newlyweds or less than a year into this, and it's bad. And she was miserable at her job. And so it was by the grace of God that Morgan was actually doing a lunch with her company. And when she talked to this lady, and so I met with her, I think 2 days later. And from there, I've really, I've learned so much from her about billing and the ins and outs of dealing with insurance companies. And I'm forever grateful for her. And I contribute a lot to her. So find a mentor, regardless of if you're doing billing, social media, anything, find some mentor that you can latch onto. And even if they don't have all these credentials after their name, because that don't mean jack squat at the end of the day. It's about building relationships with the right people and moving forward and following your dreams.
Yeah. I just think it's a testament to you too, for, you were even doing as best you could. You were trying to hire, people that could help you to do this. Yeah. And it's a struggle of a new business owner. I mean, it
was tough. Man, it's just, and it's still a daily grind, but I feel a lot better about it now.
So, Jordan, where are you at now? Have you completely taken over the billing side of stuff right now?
I have, and it's something that I'm involved in every single day. And it's something that I've actually hired a couple others to kind of help me with that. But I'm still leading the charge with it, and I'm trying to get out of it. But at the end of the day, I keep finding myself going back to it because I feel like I'm so passionate about it now. And I'm still learning. There's so much that I feel like I don't know about billing. But there's so much that I do know or that I can apply to my practice. And I want to share that with others that it can be done, because I'm a living testament that I'm doing it every single day. And so, yeah, that's where we're at. But yeah, it was a struggle for real. It was.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm so happy to have you on here. And I'm so happy we got to meet, but I'm so glad to bring you on to talk about this, because I think, like you said, there's this giant push to cash PT, and I think it's great. And I think, regardless of cash insurance, the big thing for us obviously is to help people do whatever they want to do and create the environment they want to create. Exactly. But yeah. I think that more and more people coming out of school might be interested in starting an insurance-based practice. But I think it's the daunting side of one, there's the whether it's assumption or real that you have to do more paperwork, but two, it's the insurance and billing side of things that like I know personally totally scared me.
Yeah.
Maybe if I had just known the basics of it, might have felt much more comfortable, which is what we're going to dive into in a minute about what you're working on, what you're building. But tell us now where you're at. So you started this clinic, or you took over the clinic. There were 3 staff members.
Right.
You were open 2.5 days a week. Any idea of like revenue, what you were bringing in at that point?
Uh,
on a monthly basis, or billing for on a monthly basis?
We were bringing in between $22,000 and $28,000 from basically day one.
Okay. And tell us now, how many employees do you have? This is all in a 2-year span, guys. Jordan's 24 to 26. How many employees do you have now? And what's essentially been monthly revenue lately?
So I've been in October, it will have been, I think 16 months. And, so we went from around between 22 and 28, to $52,000 to $53,000 the last 3 to 4 to 5 months. And I think, and we've not only doubled the caseload, but, the quality of patients as well. And I contribute that one through what I've learned through, I'm going to give you a shout out, Will and Alex, through you guys. I mean, holy cow, you've taken my practice and put the proof to what you guys have created. And so I've obviously learned a lot, but, once again, finding a mentor, even if you find it's a friend, somebody that is similar in age to you. I mean, every person in these groups has something to offer one another. And even if you don't think, I never thought I would ever do a Facebook Live. I was completely against it. And even up to 3 or 4 months ago, I don't think I even told you this at SSPT, whenever you guys were up on stage and you made everybody do a Facebook Live, I didn't do it. Because, man, I know. But you live and learn, and man, but yeah, we $52,000 to $53,000 the last couple of months. And I feel so much at ease about the control that I have, that I don't have to ask a third party biller what these numbers mean on this page. And I have to wait 3 days for her answer that really doesn't help me out. I can pull up exactly what my numbers are. I do it every single day. And I'm a little OCD about it, but it's the lifeline of the clinic. And it gives you the financial freedom to build and grow, more and provide to more people. So right now we have, 8 to 9 full-time employees. And like I said, today I just hired my third PTA, and I've actually only told 2 staff members. So I'm pretty excited to tell the rest of them in the morning.
That's awesome.
So
nobody tweet that out.
Yeah.
Don't let the cat. I think that's just so cool. And Jordan, I mean, I think it's so inspirational to just see someone, age doesn't matter, but the fact that you are, you're 26 and you started getting into this at 24, and to be able to double a practice and to be able to tackle something that I think for most of us, we'd want to run away from. I mean, most of my medical time being in the medical field, if someone said billing, I typically want to go in the other direction.
Right.
It's usually like, hey, something complicated that I don't understand. And I'd rather just not be a part of it. And I think what's really cool is to show people, younger people, that age doesn't matter again, but people coming out of school in particular, that, hey, if you could learn how to understand insurance and learn how to understand billing, you could easily be a hybrid practice or total, just pure in network, and have a thriving business too. I know cash is really powerful, but I mean, you're living proof that you can be a new grad, go out and build an insurance-based practice, and I know not build you. I know you took it over, but still to grow and develop one is possible, which I think we're not really talking to younger new grads about that, which I think is really, really powerful. If Jordan, if someone's watching, they're like they're a newer grad or someone who's just been working somewhere else for a while and is like, I want to do my own thing, but I'm nervous to do to take insurance.
Mm-hmm.
What's like the top one or two biggest mistakes you see people make when it comes to their billing or not understanding their billing?
I think the biggest thing that I've seen, just only a year and a half, 2 years into this, is from the cash model. I think a lot of us, because we're not educated on it, I think people want to use the benefits that they have because ultimately it's cheaper, and to get a similar service, and that's debatable, as we all know. But by using insurance, there is such a bigger pool that you're fishing, a bigger pond that you're fishing in, and by having an only cash practice or even a hybrid model, I feel like you're limiting yourself and the visibility of your business. And that's to be debated, but that's what I mean, in all reality, people want to use the benefits, what they have. And so if you can really learn the basics of insurance, and you don't even have to be an expert. I mean, I feel like I know the basics, and I've proven that you can thrive on the basics, and then continue learning about the insurance. It's an everyday. I feel like I'm learning something new every day, but you can potentially reach a lot more people by accepting insurances and opening a new practice or taking over a practice that's in network. You're going to be, it's like using patients like as a lead magnet, for insurance as a lead magnet, versus not having any lead magnets.
I mean, I think you look at it, right, from a lot of marketing standpoints, one of the big headlines for a lot of places is we accept most insurances, right? Yeah. Like that's a draw into it's an incentive to come in. And I just think, it's just always better as a profession to be inclusive instead of exclusive, and just say,
definitely. And even regardless, if people get caught up on they only pay me $45 a visit. But in reality, if I'm getting paid $45 a visit from you, but you have a friend that has also the same insurance and I get $45, they have two more friends that has commercial insurance that pays $75. And really that's 8 more set of eyes that I have on my clinic. Your product is going to get out there much quicker. And people are going to say, hey, I know who Tristar Physical Therapy and Chiropractic is. Yeah, they take my insurance. You should go check them out.
Yeah. So Jordan, part of the reason I invited Jordan on is because he's built an incredible Facebook group to help teach people how to understand billing, especially regardless of where you're at in your career. It's something we talked about during the time we were there together in Florida, of like, you got to start a group about this to teach people how to do this, because I just think it's just such an area that, people haven't been made aware of how to do it and haven't been educated on. So Jordan, what's the name of your Facebook group? I'll drop a link to it in the comments, but
it's called Insurance-Based Billing for Physical Therapists. And I think we've been live for about 3.5 weeks now, and we had our 500th member join last night. So
500 members joined now?
Yeah. Shout out to Jeremy Sutton. He actually invited the 500th member. So I sent him a text this morning thanking him for that. But yeah, it's been crazy. It's really came on real fast, but and it's something that I'm still learning how to do the whole group thing. But it's been fun, and I really think it's got a lot of potential. And I really like the interaction between everybody in there. And there's questions on there that I'm like, what in the world did somebody just ask? And it was funny because you feel like you do know every single thing about billing, and then you start a Facebook group and somebody asks a question and you had never even thought about that. But that's what's been so cool about this is that, I'm supposed to be the one that's starting all this, but really I'm learning from every single person in there. And that's been really humbling through this whole thing. And I feel like I've grown more in the last 2 to 3 weeks within my personal life, but also my business life, because things I've seen in that group I've been able to take over and explain to my employees. And that really helps them, which really ultimately helps my entire business. So it's been humbling and completely different from what I thought it would be.
Yeah. It's guys, if you're out there and you're watching this, I highly recommend joining the group, especially even if you are working for someone else. I mean, I think just going through what Jordan's teaching is really, really powerful. And I know, Jordan, I think you made a checklist. Is that right?
I did.
That people can get.
It's a checklist that, regardless of where you're at in your practice as a physical therapist, if you work for somebody else in corporate, if you're even in a hospital or a nursing home or travel, or in an outpatient clinic, it's the 5 things you should have regardless of where you're at in your current job. If you don't have any desire to open up a business down the road, you want to make sure that at least your employer knows these things, because if they don't, then that's a red flag for your job security. And so it's a 5-step checklist for things that you should know, regardless of if you want to own your own practice and do your billing or not.
Yeah. So if you're listening, guys, we'll have Jordan drop the link for the checklist. If you would like the checklist, just comment checklist and we'll make sure to tag you in it as well. So go ahead and grab the checklist, jump into Jordan's group. Jordan, I just want to say thank you so much for taking time. I know you got a busy weekend ahead with Tennessee playing South Carolina, but it's such an inspirational story to hear what you've accomplished, where you're at, how you've been able to double a practice in 16 months, which is just absolutely incredible, man.
It's been a ride, but man, it's been fun.
Yeah. And guys, if you're ever curious about billing, anything like that, you're looking at stuff. I know Jordan's working on building online courses down the road to help people with this stuff. Jordan, what's in it? And you have a new business, right?
It's called BS for PT, and it's billing solutions for physical therapists. Yeah. Our logo or our slogan is, "This is the BS that I have time for." Because as a business owner and as a profession that wants to help others, you don't have time for the BS of dealing with third-party companies that give you the runaround. And I had to find that out the hard way. And I want to share that with each and every practice owner to make sure they don't do it how I initially did it. Yeah. And ultimately save yourself time and the headache of not knowing where your practice really sits on a map.
Yeah. Well, I think if you're interested, you can always just add Jordan as a friend too on Facebook, message him. We just really wanted to share Jordan's story because I think it's one that we don't hear very often. We usually hear the person who's gone out and done the cash base thing and how they're going out and marketing directly to patients. And then to hear your story, Jordan, though, of taking over an insurance-based clinic and thriving in it after some significant hurdles, right? Dealing with having to learn insurance, having to learn billing, things that we don't get taught in school. I think it's just a really powerful story. And I just want to say thank you for taking time to come on and chat with us.
Absolutely. And I'm honored that you had me. I hope I gave everybody some valuable content. And if you guys have any questions, I'm the most humble person. And I really, truly want to help each and every one of you in some form or fashion. And I'll be the first to tell you, I don't know it all by any means. Do I know everything about it? But if I don't know it, then I'll at least be able to hopefully help you in the right direction. And I truly mean that. And I think it's guys like you, Will, and Alex that really are are making a change in the profession, and moving us forward to something that we can all be proud of at the end of the day.
Man, thanks, Jordan. And that goes both ways. I mean, just getting the word out of how we can help more people, how we can do things is huge. I've already got some people asking for the checklist. Katie and Kelly, I'll make sure that we get the link dropped here for you. And yeah, guys, this is something that I want to do more often. I'm going to try once a week, if not once every other week. We're going to bring someone on who's got a unique story to tell, who's practicing somewhere, doing their own business, talking a little bit about how they're structuring their business, how they're marketing. Jordan will have to dive in. We'll have to have you back on to talk about marketing, because it's also something you've done a lot of to grow your practice. You don't just double your practice in thin air. You're clearly doing things, which is amazing. But guys, I hope you have a wonderful evening. Jordan, thanks for hopping on. And guys, as always, reach out to Jordan, join his Facebook group, and you guys have a great night. See you, Jordan.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Will.